today, so. Oh, you got one.
We got the mayor coalition here.
Did you get one?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I never heard the.
Got money.
Yeah, this, the balances.
I've been busier than hell, buddy.
You got started out?
Yeah, I should take a picture. It's, I think the last week, 10 days, it's took off quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think this picture was from like May the 4th. I don't have a lot out, but I got more than this out now, but I got onions, lettuce,
Oh,
kale. I put some peppers in. I got some tomato plants, but I haven't planted them yet. If it's not too late, I might do that tonight because I really got much rain up there. We got some, it kind of rained like a lot yesterday. I mean, all day, but not not much.
I think we had it for the bill.
I don't even think, we might have had 2 tenths or something, but it's dried out pretty good. I mean, it's dry enough now I could run I got a rotocar on my tractor.
Yeah.
And then I can run up through there quick and then I try to plant some tomato plants and stuff.
I got my tomato plants in Saturday.
What kind do you use?
I like the Pink Girl, Celebrity, and I always plant some grape and sunshine, which is orange,
Right.
and that cherry, one super sweet 1000. And then I'll see something out there that I just wanna.
Well, I got we're talking about plant tomatoes. So, yeah, I mean, the supersonics, a guy told me about them and I had 2 years of not very good success with any of them.
Yeah.
And I planted Rutgers, for Cannon and stuff. But this year here, I bought some supersonics so far and I bought some Bush, Super Bush. And because you don't need to stake them, but I stake them and get real high, Those that keep producing where like in Rutgers, they all come on, what indeterminate to determinate, that they come on all at one time and.
Right.
But I always liked them, better than Wilson, big on it, but I just, last couple of years ago, didn't have any left of it, so.
I picked up Carolina Gold. And I planted 4 rows.
Oh, yeah, and pasta sauce or something.
Yeah, it makes.
Yeah, good deal.
Then she'll take some of my tomatoes.
What's the rain ramp down right now?
Yeah.
I haven't been down there for a while.
I'm meeting with him tomorrow. He and Timmy both.
Decorated.
I'm gonna go over the projects
Oh,
for here and there.
Yeah.
I went to the ARC meeting there. They laid all
Yeah.
this stuff on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I might try to.
Hoping to hear an update on that, but
Well, tomorrow, it might be good.
Senator Maxwell, when he done on some sessions.
Good news, been busy all week down there.
You don't get to hear any-
You wanna just wait for you to play?
I read it somewhere.
The space setting.
Seems like it's way too.
And it has to cap. If we can fund our match, why do we have to?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if we do it, at least it's so steady, but if you do it, you have to do it by September 9th.
There it is.
Yeah.
In order to be able to get some additional road funding. You have to have- They've changed the community policies and it's comparative.
Yeah.
So in order to be able to get into that other part. I'm not sure if it's low tax and size or just real. So, and we're still
Picking up on size,
5 months back.
population, any part of the population.
I don't.
Well, on the community crossings part, it was at used to be 50,000.
Oh, that,
And
you're
then it's
talking about that.
55,000.
Right.
But at the max is only 20%, whereas it used to be for everybody, I mean, for our size, it used to be 50-50.
Yeah, now it's
And now
25,
it's
70.
only 20,
Oh, it's 20?
so it's gonna be a lot tougher to do that, because more people are gonna be able to afford it. We could put less money in that pot and they changed the formula.
Okay,
There's so much stuff going through my head.
yeah.
I mean, there's so many changes we've done this gas station, it's just kind of hard to try.
Hey, man.
And they're facing stuff.
Big week out in Dillsboro.
Yeah.
So some things are.
Everything off to a good start?
Probably big are, yeah, July 1st and something.
Well, hopefully the weather stays away for you tomorrow.
But that's what you sent me there.
Yeah.
Where's that thing?
And I think their number's actually. But 133. But, yeah, things like that.
We're just gonna. We good.
Together, that might be a way for us to approve it, so we don't have to have an extra meeting before August 1st. Because they had projected like income, receipts for 26 and 27, and we can't do that. So that gives them an option to be able to come up with that. And they can, what we're saying is you can apply for up to $1 million as long as you got cash. I mean, that to me is what that says.
This is acquired.
Right.
So
We're
this-
voting on that.
This already on that?
No,
No,
we're
we're
voting
on
on
this one tonight.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. But this here is, that's already been.
those first three. Done. Those are, they're in here. This is essentially.
And then their one for an addition.
There is.
I thought that was this.
Yes, that's why I was.
Well, you did too.
I'm sorry about confused.
No, you didn't.
Well, we just thought. that well, 130 was what it is.
No, it's already acquired today.
So-
This
so
is
they're
being
coming
requested.
to 250.
So do you want to move this down on the agenda or not?
You did.
Oh, I didn't get an updated agenda. I'm sorry.
It's right under your filter.
Glasses. Need my long arms.
Yeah, I thought about it. I was about 20 steps out of my car. I thought I could squint for one more meeting. I borrowed Jeff's glasses.
It's 5 o'clock, but if we'll give Leah a minute she needs a picture for the county website.
Oh, should we clear our junk off the counter then for that?
No, because we're working.
That's right, okay. Do the first half.
Jeez. You're good?
Slash makes me look tall.
Any kind of stand up.
Already taller.
No,
no.
You moved your hands.
Kind of another grouse.
Okay, is everybody ready?
Thank you, Leah. Leah, if you'll remain standing, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand and join us in the pledge, we'll call the meeting to order. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a recipient of federal funds and in support of Dearborn County's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the county gathers statistical data regarding participants in county activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI public involvement survey at this meeting. You are not required to complete this survey. However, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI and ADA.
Thank you, Andy. The first thing on the agenda is the Dearborn County Regional Sewer District. Bill Shelton has resigned. Council has 2 appointments. One is, actually, I think we have 3. But one is needing to be replaced, and that's Bill's position. Jeff Bittner has been suggested as the replacement for Bill Shelton for a county council seat on the sewer board. Is there a motion to approve Mr. Bittner?
I move we appoint Jeff Bittner to the regional sewer board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have first and second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Additional appropriations, first is the juvenile center inmate meals. Is there anyone here presenting? Thank you, Mr. Britton.
This is for fresh fruits and vegetables for the juveniles that are in the detention center.
Yeah, reading through the request, I know that they get their main meal from the jail and it's adult meals. And what they're asking for is essentially $100 a month in order to buy fresh fruits and vegetables for teenage kids.
Mhm.
So
And I know they've been doing cooking classes and stuff too, like,
Right. So if we can keep them healthy, maybe it would be a plus.
Right.
Is there a motion to approve this request? Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Planning and zoning, requesting money for. Is it a? Oh, for publication and, yeah, because of all the new meetings for the plan. Comprehensive plan.
yes. So Nicole Daly, Director of Planning and Zoning. If you don't know, we are undertaking the updating of the county comprehensive plan. We are doing that in-house. We're estimating a year process, if not maybe a little bit more, just depends on public involvement. But we are trying to reach out to as many people as possible and looking at the different ideas we've had. One which was sending one notification to each property owner in the county, which we've done the research on. That would cost $8,000 at a one-time expense for a postcard. So I have contacted the Eagle, the local radio station, and tried to work with them on how we can do it best. What we're looking at is 3 months, which would coordinate with our workshops that we want to have by the end of the year. And they would do radio announcements for that comprehensive plan workshop. We would have a month-long kind of on the radio, on their website for a month that we have the workshops, hoping to get more people's attention to get them to the workshops. And we're planning on doing that 3 more times this year. So we are looking at that additional cost just to reach more people. Hopefully to get them involved. And just so you know, we're trying to also have them in this room so we can get them on YouTube as well, to get people involved with, try to interact with what we do here on the YouTube, to get them involved with the internet, try to get more people involved. So that's why we're asking for those additionals.
Is there a motion to approve the $2,025 out of county general for the comprehensive plan advertising?
I'll make the motion.
Nicole, are the rest of your funds fairly exhausted? I mean, it seems like not a terribly large amount.
Yeah, so we
With
actually
strict
have
approval?
a bit, yeah, we do a lot of publications, so I even looked into our what we typically use for our meetings, because we are strict guided on how we have to publicize. And even last year with the amount of money that we had, we actually only had $10 left, as we have to publicize for every meeting and exec replica. So we actually only ask for what we think we need at the time. So, and then we did a forecast on looking how many more meetings we would have. And we're roughly about that, maybe between $10 and $100 left at the end of the year.
Okay.
And then this is kind of like we'll probably have a little bit more that we'll put in the budget next year, because it will go into 2026. And that will be, once we're done with approving the comprehensive plan, it's kind of like the one-time thing. And then we'll look at 5 or 10 years more when we have to update.
Is there a second? We have a motion from Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion,
I'd add in there that if you get close to the public meeting time, instead of maybe using some of that money, you could put it like, I mean, some people subscribe to the Register, but the Beacon goes to a lot of houses around. And, you know, I think that people would have a lot better opportunity to see that than, because they kind of got to get on the internet and look for something
Yes.
like that to find it there, you know, where.
We have been working.
Mailbox, at
Yeah,
least they know.
we have been working with the Beacon.
Yeah.
This year we've had the one workshop. We've been working with them as well. So that's kind of where some extra funds have gone in our publications. We've done that. This was just a larger amount to try to reach more people.
Personally, I would never see it on, because I wouldn't get out there and just be looking for something like
Mhm.
that, you know?
But it'll be radio advertisements, and the price also includes chances to do interviews at specific times with me as well, to hopefully get that word out more.
and that would be on the website to check the Eagle or what?
Yeah, so we're also getting in return, so we would have a banner on their website that would, once they click on it, that it will draw them to our website that we have set up. We have a separate page set up just for the comprehensive plan update.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Treasurer for the copier.
The treasurer had a copier that was breaking down and leaving lines on the middle of their pages and, she opted for a smaller one. The last one was 7,000. This new one she wants is close to 2,300, 2,299 for a new one.
Is there a motion to approve the amount for the copier for the treasurer out of county general?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any
The
discussion?
agenda and the request form are not the same numbers, just for clarification. 2229 is the one and the other one was 2299.
It was advertised for 2,299.
Okay.
That's my fault.
We'll forgive it this time, Connie.
Come on, Connie.
You guys.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is the park board and a grant request for Stella.
Hello, wonderful people. How are you? Good. Thank you, Nicole. All right. So I assume all of you have received the notice that Nicole posted, put up together. As you all know, we have been working relentlessly to finally get in this Stellar Pathways, which promises a potential of $1 million going exclusively to Bright Meadows Park. That $1 million is contingent on $1 million also being present for them to match. So whatever we have in the coffer, they will match. Right now, that fund is at $320,000, consisting of $50,000 from the Dearborn County Community Foundation, $50,000 from the Donovan family, $120,000 from Park Fund 1179, and $100,000 from the Dearborn County Redevelopment Commission. There's also another $30,000 that has already been voted on by the park board to add, pending approval from you guys. So that from the 1179, so that takes us to $350,000, which means $350,000 is going to be met. What we are also prepared to do as far as the park board is
Can I ask you, where was
please.
that 30,000 from?
that has already been approved by the park board from the 1179 fund, and that needs to be approved.
Yeah, so that's a part of the additional 30,000. So the park board voted to come to the council.
So it's
Add
not
that.
actually approved.
It's not approved through you guys. It was
Okay.
just voted by the park board.
So I'm confused now. You got the 120,000 I'm seeing, and then you're asking for 30 additional, not 130 additional?
Well, there's more coming, because what we would like to see happen is, again, from the 1179, and so it would come from the park board funds for in order for us to get approved for the full million, the $1 million commitment has to be turned in with the application by August 1st. Now, that does not mean that we need $1 million by August 1st. We have until 2027 to come up with the rest of the funds. So in a 3-year rollout, the park board would like to, and was planning to vote on $100,000 at the next park board meeting. Then in 2026, another $75,000 from the Riverboat Fund. And then in 27, another $75,000 from the Riverboat Fund, which was get us to $600,000. What we're here before you to request is help from the county, because I think we can all agree that it is in everybody's best interest to get $1 million from the state as opposed to $600,000 from the state, which benefits one park exclusively, which is literally in the backyard of many people in this room. What we would like to see council do is for this year, 1/3 of the remaining $400,000, which would be, so I can get my numbers accurate, 133, 333, 34. In 2026, the same amount. In 2027, the same amount. All of this contingent on the fact that the park board is going to continue to work to secure funding through donations, through grants and outside funding, which in turn would offset the promise from council and also offset the $75,000 commitment. So we can all kind of just split the difference on that and reduce the amount that's coming from the county, because we've been able to secure outside donations, corporate financing, grants, so on and so forth. End goal being, as was the goal from the beginning of the Stellar Pathways project, if we can get $1 million from the state to improve one of the county's greatest resources, then it would be silly not to try and do it. We just need to make sure that we have in the August 1st application, the information saying this money has been secured with the full commitment from the park board that we do have balls in motion to try and make the county's commitment as little as possible. And we don't think it'll be the full 400,000, but we do want to be able to put in the application to say that that extra 400,000 to get us to the $1 million mark is that we're not wasting any money.
I don't think we can do that. Ahead of
That's
time
what I was
like
gonna
that.
say.
Yeah.
We can address additional appropriations for 2025. And what I had suggested and ran it by the auditor would be like an addendum to your grant request that the county council would vote on tonight, which would state that the monies that were already approved, including the ones from redevelopment, would be a total of $320,000, that you're requesting $130,000 tonight from your 1179 fund. And that you're also requesting $133,000 some odd out of county general, which would have to be voted on. And that the grant request would be contingent on the amount of funds raised by the application deadline of August 1st, 2025, because we cannot encumber money for 26 and 27 today. So the most county council could do today is deal with your request of 130, and then also the request out of county general for the 133,000 and some odd, and approve the grant up to $1 million contingent on funds actually being in hand. So that's where we are, as I understand from talking to the auditor and other members. And I think Andy would concur with that, right, Andy?
Sorry, I was working on something for later in the meeting.
I believe, if I'm hearing you right, I think that will work, because if we have the grant, the Dearborn County grant application that we've set for the $1 million, I'm thinking that will work for the application. But yes, in the 2025 scheme of things, what they're asking for is the $130,000 for 2025 to be taken out for their funding to be used for the Stellar program, and then asking council out of the general fund, the $133.33 for 2025 to go towards that. Now I will also add that as we've been discussing, because the money doesn't have to be in a bank by August 1st, we just have to say this is where monies are coming from, that we've already started working towards gathering donations. I had last Friday a meeting with BABA, which is the Bright Business Association. They sounded enthusiastic on donating some money. We're also working with the Dearborn County Tourism. They have indicated that there is possibly $120,000 that they have set aside just for Stellar, that it could not be, they did not want it to be used for any of the other parts of the Stellar program, but the park program. And then they had a certain amount of funds that were set aside that they didn't want for Dillsboro or the Main Street or some other, but they had some set aside just for the parks. And then there's additional money that they had set aside for the parks of Dearborn County. They came to the meeting last, we're attending their meeting in June. So, and then I have our department, there are several grant opportunities that we are looking into for fitness purposes. because in front of you, the concept plan, one of the components that the park board wanted to add was a fitness scheme to it. But the issue with some of these grants, because it doesn't look like construction can start till 2027, is that most of those grants, once you are approved for it, you have about a 12-month period to use that funding. So to apply for a grant when construction starting for 2027, we're looking at the end of 2026 to be able to apply for those additionals. There's one with the Trails program that is upwards to $70,000. So as we are looking at this, we are thinking that any commitment made, we are trying to reduce what that commitment is by council or by the park board with donations. But it's the amount of time we have till August 1st to try to say, yes, we want to be able to say we want spending $1 million.
We want to be able to say by August 1st that we have the $1 million in.
What we're saying
Yeah.
is that council would be in a position to approve the grant request with the condition that it would be for the amount of cash that you have in hand.
Yes.
And that's the only way we can do it, because we cannot promise
Yes, I understand.
future revenue.
Nicole, you've been working with the park board on their 5-year plan.
Yes.
See a lot of existing elements, and I'm sure this is a moving plan, right?
Yes.
It's changing, which is
Yes.
great. That's how it should be. It should be reactive to what the community wants. Is there $2 million worth of work here?
Yes. Yes, so you gotta also think, so just with the paths themselves, taking those out, expanding those to 8-foot wide paths. Also, one of the paths, we've got the amphitheater that is in there. We have fitness, we have inclusion, playground equipment, and looking at making all of the walkways and entrances ADA compliant, which is required by this grant anyway. So some of those paths have to be rerouted to make sure that the slope is accurate. So we're looking at all those.
And also changing some of the entrances to the park and to the exits to make it more less congested with traffic flow,
Are
especially.
you looking at expanding the paving into that grassy area or not?
On this particular, not right now, they put a disc golf course through there and trying to keep that more nature in style. Just to have a nature aspect to the park as well. So that's kind of one of the things we've talked about in that section alone. And like you said, some of the other costs would be a new entrance on the state line, eliminating 2 entrances off the Heinzel to help with some traffic flow through there. To get rid of 3 entrances. The one to the south is a slight distance issue. So it's not only that we're looking at upgrades to the park, but we're also looking at other safety factors that have been voiced in some of the public hearings and stuff like that.
And accessibility.
So if there's a plan for a stage of some sort, is there a plan for additional restrooms, or if there was some sort of stage event, would there be like porta potties brought in?
Yes.
Yeah, there would have to be.
So this is also in coordination with the group that wanted to do the Bring Back the Bright Festival to that area, and working with that and having the ability to do that. And then also the Bright Business Association, they really like the idea because they do music through the summertime on Fridays once a month, and they actually hold it in a parking lot. And they were excited that they might have the potential to use that space as well for the community throughout the summertime. So it's gotten a lot of feedback as we go to different groups.
And there's also a plan for us to do an opportunity for have a meeting with actual people who live there, with the community, to find out what they like, what they don't like, and get a better feel. So when we finally put shovels in dirt, as they say, we're giving people in the community what they want, not just what we think they want.
But when the school district, Summer Different School Corporation deeded this land to the park board, were there any covenants on the use of this property? I mean, I think they probably were expecting it to be continued to be used for ball fields as one.
Ball fields are gonna stay, yeah.
But I didn't know if has anyone looked into that document when the school district actually deeded this property?
We're also looking into that because we actually will have to, I believe through this grant program, you have to actually put additional restrictions on the deed. So we are working with the consultant right now to take a look at that for the application because for like legal description purposes, I've also asked them to keep in mind when we describe that for the grant program to come inside the right of way a little bit more because I want it to be protected in case we ever have to put sidewalks or anything like that along State Line Road for connectivity up there. Because I don't want that to be restricted through this grant program. So we are taking a look at all those as we
Okay,
move forward.
I got a question. How much money did Dearborn County get through the Stellar program?
So I don't know the exact, it's estimated $8 million. Right, yeah.
1 million of which has the potential to go to just this park.
The Stellar grant was made up of a number of different different agencies, DNR, IEDC, a number of them, but this was the only project that worked within that grant.
Well, in the notes, I noticed this was the only one we were focused on, but I realize this is probably the only one in the county.
Yeah, the
The
rest
other
of
two
them.
are in the city.
Well, there's city ones, but they're also looking at the historic buildings. They're also looking at the North Dearborn Village,
Senior housing.
senior housing.
Dillsboro.
And then community gardens is also part of it. I don't know if we've really gotten into the dive of where those are gonna be. But there are a couple other smaller grant processes that are in Dearborn County outside of Greendale and Dillsboro.
And then also it says it's reimbursable.
So what
Sounds
it is,
like
it's a
we're not gonna get our money back.
no, it's a 50-50, basically a 1-to-1. So if we raise the $1 million, they're matching our 1 million. If we only raise 600,000, they're only matching 600,000.
So it's not reimbursable.
Yeah, what's the
No.
reimbursable? Where'd you see that then?
Well,
What-
what the idea was that,
Maybe we would get paid back and it would go back into the general fund.
let's hypothetically, and Ms. Morris has already been clear that that's not how this works, but I'm using this as an example.
Oh, well,
So-
it's a match, but yes, you expend it, they reimburse. As that, it's a reimbursable, but matching funds.
Okay.
But it's not reimbursed in the sense that we're gonna get a check back for that amount.
No, it's just reimbursed with the money we spend for that.
It's basically a
So
match.
where does
Yeah.
the money go?
What's that?
Where's the money when you get it paid back? Where's it go?
You don't
We
get the
don't
money
get
till you
the
do the
money
project.
And then the project gets reimbursed, yes.
The phrasing is a little awkward.
Yes.
So basically, as a simple example, if we put up $100 and they put up $100. When reimbursement time comes, we don't get our $100 back. All we get is their $100 back that we spent.
You get the improvement.
You get the match. It's a
You
match.
get the
Yes,
match.
if we spend $100, we get $200 worth of improvement. Accurate?
But we pay for 100 of it.
Correct.
Right.
Because it has to be matched in order to get the money from the state through the Stellar pathways.
So Connie, is the best route forward is to work on approving or disapproving the match and then the additionals, or how would you suggest we proceed on this?
I mean, I would do the additional appropriation and then I don't know if they want to change this 1 million and put contingent on what you have or. I mean, I don't know how you want to do that.
I think we have to, either that sheet that you have in our packet that has the contingent on there that the grant request approval is contingent on the amount of funds raised by the date of the application deadline, August 1st, 2025. Would that satisfy it?
Up to you guys.
Well, I just think it needs to be clear that we're not authorizing $1 million. We're authorizing,
Already signed it.
pardon me?
The commissioner's already signed it.
But we can certainly add that condition on there.
Yeah.
But you suggest we do their additional first?
I would.
Okay.
Back to the additional, so I read what Nicole wrote here and then I'm looking at another sheet. So am I right to say that if we approve what you're asking for tonight, the park board's match to date will be 250,000?
Well, right now, there's already been 320,000 secured.
No, I mean, it's the park, just what the park boards. I see 120,000 and I'm seeing another request for 130,000.
Yes.
That equals 250,000. Is that correct today?
Yes, to date.
If that 130 is
For
approved.
the
out of
134 in 2025 is what we're
That's
asking.
a little bit more than what Gene had proposed spending on the bike path originally. It was like
Yes.
230, right?
Yes.
And what?
But originally, the Stellar Pathways.
Well,
was
the
in the-
130.
I know, and that's why I was delayed. But I guess the question is too, since
Where's the other stuff?
a few years ago,
County general.
the riverboat gaming revenue went from 1% of the park to
To
3%.
3%.
So what is the parks
Well,
fund balance right now? And
Gene, you wanna fill this?
All right, right now in the 1179 Park and Recreation, if we include the 120,000, it would be around $474,000.
but that 120 is already earmarked, so,
Okay, that would reduce it to like 350,000.
okay.
This is what we gave
Then
us.
we have the
We
county
got it.
farm 52,000, and then we have the Vista Bank, we have about 36,000.
372. So you guys still have a balance of 372,000, which the 130 would come off of there,
Right.
which would still give you a balance of approximately 240,000.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure, because obviously you never know what's gonna happen, and we still have 4 other parks to tend to.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we were putting together a good faith effort to do our part with this, while at the same time, trying to make sure that we kept in focus that it's in everybody's interest.
I
to
guess I would
get-
think it'd be prudent to put more of the park money towards the match. And if something happened, like you said, then come back and ask for an appropriation, from
The
council.
other part of that too is as we're looking through the 3 years. So that's why in discussions at the park board meeting, I explained the 3% to them. And noted, to where those additional years of possibly raising, at least that we're looking at 75,000 right now for 26 and 27. But potentially more just because the 3% is really unknown. But at least they were willing at the time.
It'll grow by a lot more than the 75,000
Yeah,
that
but-
you're earmarking for next year.
Yeah, but
But
we're
we
trying
can
to
only
just.
approve what's been advertised.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
can't.
No,
approve that.
no, I understand that,
So
yeah.
the
I
only thing
know
we can
exactly.
do tonight,
No, I understand.
yeah, the only thing we can.
But that's what the park board has looked at and looking towards the future, trying to get to this million. And just a rough estimate, I'm talking to Leah, or just throwing numbers out in general. Say it's 150,000 for the 3% a year, taking half of that for one park for the next couple of years. That was their thought process, to help towards that $1 million, knowing that there's 4 other parks to still take care of, leaving the other half of that for those parks.
So given this plan here, has the park board looked at, okay, if we're looking at a $2 million project, if we have like 1.2 million instead of 2 million, what would we scale off?
So yes, we've talked to the consultant about that. What we wanted them to do is take a look at the concept plan. We wanted them to give us a plan that has all the rings and bells with it.
Right.
All the things that were kind of on the wish list, all the things that came out of some of the public workshops. At the end, right before the application is due, they do an estimated cost. So at that point, so in July, the end of July, we are gonna be looking at that cost and saying, okay, what can we say? This is so there's parts of it we talked about, because that plan's gonna get a little bit more detailed. And additional parking, we talked about. I said, go ahead and throw that in there. We wanna see where we're at with the cost, and if we have to put it on there as a master plan for the park, at least it can go into a phase 2. Or
Yeah.
phase 3. Because we will narrow it down to what we think we can get the match and what the grant will be.
We'll basically have a priorities list and
Yeah.
then secondary, and then, okay, what can wait? And
So
we
I
didn't.
think what we told the consultant first off the bat, that giving us a master plan that. Everything we want on the wish list, the top 3 priorities, of course, were the widening of the trails. Making that accessible, because that's actually a priority of the grant. The inclusion park. And bettering, one of it is looking at the drainage, bettering the drainage. Also with the fitness, looking at the fitness part of it as well. And the parking lot and some of those locations that need help. So just to give you another example, so we've been talking to the recycling center. They have trailers out there. They take up some parking spots. In the concept plan, we actually indicated a spot. If we make it concrete, it lasts longer, still can use it. So we've asked, would they be willing to pitch in some money too? So we're looking at everything.
Where is it placed on this?
It is it's generally where they have it now.
Okay,
Right up here.
Yes, this green area here
okay, gotcha.
was designated, so.
Thank you.
And where they have it stored, which is a good thing for the county, but it does take up parking spaces that are valuable for that park.
So it'd have its own separate contained area.
A contained area that's concrete that will last longer for those. So we're taking everything into
Because that
consideration.
recycling area is highly used.
Yes. So that's why we've looked at making it last longer through concrete instead of just asphalt in the parking spaces.
Okay. For the Dearborn County government and Stellar, is this the only project that is in the Stellar program for Dearborn County? I mean, their municipalities, is that senior center, that senior apartments, is that held by like Lifetime Resources?
Lifetime Resources will be going through that one.
Okay, so all the county is ever going to
Yeah,
be dealing
the
with?
only other thing I believe is the historic one, which I don't know, but they did a tour of the Yes Home, whether or not funding could be towards that. So that could have, because it's owned by the county, but they were looking at that on Friday as well to see if that would meet any of the funding that's available for that.
Who's they?
So
The consultants?
One Dearborn IDNR was down Friday. They did a tour basically of all the different projects that are going on that might be under their kind of wings. And One Dearborn and the consultant at HWC went around with them on Friday.
So is there potential for the Yes Home to pledge money towards your 2 million or your 1 million that you're needing?
They're looking at the Yes Home actually benefiting from the Stellar program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd
But that
be two
wasn't
separate
one-
projects
Yes.
within the same.
So like with Lifetime Resources, that was one of the things they were
Right.
looking at is whether or not the Yes Homes could benefit from another source
With
agency.
no match.
Well, I don't know, it depends on, all the programs, all the agencies have different rules that you have to follow, different matches, different, some are 80-20, some are 1-to-1. So, I haven't gotten into those because we're concentrating on this one, but, yeah, they're all different. But ultimately what it is it's non-competitive, we still have to apply for it, but it's just non-competitive. So we're applying for that and we're at the top of the list. But we still have to do the.
Do you have a cost to date of approximately what you got on the?
No, so we met with the consultant on Friday. They had actually 3 designs. I kind of gave you the one that mimicked what we were working at the table. We threw tracing paper over it. We got some information from Baba. We've had some other information.
Environmental.
We had an environmental review on the project that was required. So we sat down with the consultant and kind of mixed the 3 concepts that we had with some feedback that we've gotten. And they've kind of gone back to the drawing board and we're kind of waiting for.
So then back to Tim's question, you really don't know how much.
Not yet.
You don't know if there's $2 million worth of work.
The goal is to.
I think his point is, we don't need to spend $2 million just to be spending $2 million.
And no one wants to do that, but
No,
just knowing the estimated cost of the walking trail 2 years ago. And then when you factor in improving overall parking lot with the asphalt, that's going to be a substantial chunk right there before you add
And so-
everything else. So,
yeah.
so it's not out of the realm of possibility that we have potential to hit that number. We should get, you think within a month, we should have the estimate?
Yeah, well, I would say at least by July, because we have to have those conversations
You
on.
got an outside consultant, who's your consultant?
HWC is the outside consultant, so I will also explain that that money that the park board is spending on the consultant actually is included in the matching. And then any engineering fees will come out of that $1 million that as far as the match. So it's not only construction wise, but it's also the planning up to it that.
Planning, engineering,
costs, you're
environmental
looking at
analysis.
to $300,000 just in those fees alone.
Yes. Okay, does anyone have any other questions?
I'll be honest, when I came in, I thought it was more like the county highway, when they do a project and we pay up front, and then they pay the money back. I didn't know it was like this.
Right. Well, I would think
So you
that,
gotta spend $1 million to get $1 million.
well, up to $1 million, yes.
It's more like community crossings.
You gotta spend 2 million to get 1 million of it back.
No, you spend $1 million and they match the $1 million.
Yeah, we don't spend it. We just match it. So we spend 1 million, they put in 1 million and makes it 2 million.
And we
You
say,
don't have to put the 2 million up front.
It says on the other paper, it says reimbursable.
The details of that we're still working out as far as, because with the IDNR. I don't know if I don't think we have to spend the 2 million to get the $1 million.
Well, you're not gonna be able to because you don't have
I
it to
think
spend.
as we spend it, so for instance, roughly what will be included is, I'm estimating, because we don't know yet, $200,000 to $300,000 just for what we're doing consulting wise for this, and then for engineering plan. Because those engineering plans won't be done until next year at the end of. So how this grant will also work is when we apply April 1st or August 1st, the state reviews it. I think they said they take 1 to 2 months to review it, then it has to go through a federal review process. They're estimating a year for just that review process.
But like, say it's, the poor old contractor goes out and does the job. And then how soon does the reimbursement come in Stellar after the project's complete?
It's like other grant programs, it's probably multiple draws over the length of the project, so it's been X amount.
Yeah. So somebody monitors the progress, you do draws as you go.
Yes,
Yeah, you carry some of the costs for like a short time.
short time is
So
before
then
we
the
get into it.
invoices with the draw request, and then the state will review it.
That's reasonable if that's how it works.
Get a check, that probably happens on multiple occasions over the life of the project.
so the first request is $130,000 out of Riverboat Fund 1179 which is dedicated for the park board. Is there a motion to approve the release of $130,000 out of 1179 toward the Stellar grant match?
I think a big reason that we adjusted the riverboat rate that goes to the park board is because we wanted them to make the call on where their money's spent, and if that's where they think it's best spent, then I make a motion to approve the 130,000 from the park board account 1179.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
We do a roll call, please.
Dan?
Nay.
Glenn? Dennis?
Nay.
Mark?
Yay.
Tim?
Yay.
Doug?
Yay.
And I vote yay. Motion passes. The second request from the park board toward the Stellar program is $133,333 out of county general. The only thing that I would say about this request is typically we don't do this sort of expenditure out of county general. It would be rather unusual. The only way I can defend it in my own mind is that we do take about $2 million of riverboat revenue and put it into county general. So with that in mind, I can live with the idea of taking $333,000 out of county general. But in my mind, that is actually, the source is actually from riverboat, since we do take 2 million out of roughly $2 million a year and put it into county general. But typically, this would not be a county general type of expense for us.
Okay.
So now we need a motion, if there is one, for $133,333 dollars out of 1001, which is county general. Motion fails for it fails for lack of a motion. The other item we have is your grant request application. And I think that the only way we can go forward with this is with the addendum that the request is approved contingent on the amount of funds raised by the day of the application deadline, which is August the 1st, 2025. And we showed at this point, when it was being done, that you had approved $320,000. Requested for tonight was 130 out of the 1179 and the 133,000 out of county general, which did not pass. So it would be the monies that you have on hand by August the 1st. So is there a motion for us to approve the grant with that condition?
What, so how long do you have to, how do you earmark the money and still continue to raise money after that's where I'm confused a little bit.
Well,
What I'm saying, I mean, Liz is saying what you got, like cash in the piggy bank by August 1st, you're gonna continue to try to raise money.
Well, what we were kind of hoping for is a little bit of promise from different places to back us.
Can serve as a backstop.
Backstop, if we, if we come short of that $1 million, that it would come from council or some other sources,
Well, I mean,
because.
we can't do that and you guys really can't do it either. So, I mean, and what happens if you,
Well,
Does it fall through?
to the drawing board, has to state how they generally do it, because I do understand the budgeting for communities, and they have to have dealt with that before and how they plan on doing that. But like I said, we plan on still working towards August 1st, just to be able to have a more secure number. We still have meetings to attend and donations to ask for.
hypothetically, if you got some company that says, hey, we'll give you, $300,000. And then you put that on your scoop sheet by August 1st. What happens if they don't come through with the money down the road?
Well, generally, so I would think that would be, as far as, I would hate for that. What we would prefer is if those donations are set,
And
they are putting it in the hand. That way we have that
that's
donation.
basically what Liz is saying here.
Yes,
But you guys specifically said the word commitment. That's why I was.
yes.
Yeah, well, listen, by August 1st, if we only have in hand $750,000, then the state will match $750,000 and we're missing out on $250,000 of state money. That was kind of the goal, is if there's $1 million out there, what can we do to get the $1 million? If we only have 500,000, then that's what we get, and we get to do half the project. And that's what we were trying to avoid.
And the other part of that too is in that process. So whatever money that we can have put in that application by August 1st, that's how things will be phrased in the application and what projects will have priority during this stellar program. And as we continue, if we get through the engineering phase, which the engineering phase probably will not start till fall of 26. So there is a chance for us to even go get additional grants that won't, the problem is they won't be a match at that point. So we will still continue to work. It will just be at a phase 1, phase 2 that we have to say to the state, this is what we're doing. So that's why we're trying our hardest to get to that point by August 1st. I mean, the whole process with the seller didn't give us much time to get in there and get the hands dirty on some of this. So it's a fast moving pace till it's federal level, and then it slows down, but it's just one of those parts of the grant process. So, but there is a second part that we can work with that is outside of the grant, the stellar program. If we had to, we did raise money that was outside of what we committed to at August 1st. We still are able to raise additional funds that we can use through the same project. It just indicated as like a phase 1, it could be just occurring at the same time.
I'll make a motion, we approve of the wording that Liz just said, that we approve the grant match for the amount of cash on hand August 1st.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay,
We'll do a roll call on the grant.
no,
Not sure why you voted against that.
no.
No. Mark,
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes.
Thank you guys for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Keep us updated on the fundraising.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Yes.
come back.
Of
Yeah,
course.
well, actually, because you guys, I believe, have a scheduled meeting in August. It planned on, even though the application, we planned on trying to give you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we want communication to be absolutely good. Okay, thank you, thank you.
What else you do?
Can't promise.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the health department. It's a correction out of their 1159 fund. I'm sorry, yes. That's the redevelopment commission. The redevelopment commission. Okay. Yeah. It's their money. We just asking our permission. Apparently, I didn't know they needed our permission, but apparently they are.
I move we approve the health board request for $630.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any other discussion? All those in health, $630 for their perf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Circuit Court is needing $10,000 for drug court out of the opioid settlement unrestricted fund.
Correct.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Any opposed? Motion passes. Superior probation needs a adjustment to their pay scale.
Yeah, if you forgot.
Do
to
you
put
do
it
that
on
in this
budget.
one?
Does the state mandate that and state sets that, those pay rates?
Yes.
Isn't that normally done during budget?
It usually is, and he had a whoops.
He missed it.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve this out of, it's coming out of 2101?
I'll make
One
a
of their
motion.
increase.
Second.
A motion and Doug, we have a motion and a second. Any of the discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Superior 2 would like to have some funding out of 4913 for an intern.
Yes, intern for summer.
Move we approve $3,768 out of 4913 for intern position.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Dearborn Redevelopment Commission, they're $100,000 toward the park board out of their own money.
And it's just the 100,000 that the redevelopment promised for the park board. They're
But
taking
they
it
have
out
to
of
have
their own
council
funds.
approve it for it to be
They
released.
do.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the
I had a question on this, or a couple of them. Did their current board vote on this?
Yes,
The new board has voted? And also. I came
actually, they
across-
approved this a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken.
So
I'd
the
have to
new
look.
board did.
I'd have to look, Glenn. I don't know. I just,
It might not have been all the guys on there, but most of them were on
Yes.
there. Yeah.
I think so.
And the other question was. Redevelopment's got about 1.6 million in the West Harrison TIF. When the West Harrison Whitewater Mill TIF started. They got 1,382,000 from the sewer board. And they,
I don't know anything about that.
I know.
I can't
nobody-
answer your question.
Everybody wants to avoid it. But it's in the Dearborn County Council meeting minutes from November 23rd of 2010. And why haven't they even attempted to repay the sewer district? Because there's areas in the county that need work on this sewer.
I don't know anything about that.
I think the sewer board went to them and there was actually something in the minutes that I think that would open the discussion at least.
I would think so, but
Everybody I talked to could never find anything that was in writing about it.
It's in the
Good
minutes.
documentation,
right here in the minutes from,
does it say to suitable?
it says West Harrison TIF District, $1,382,000 was needed. Well, I don't know, Mr. Lansing and Mr. Cross were here.
We ran a sewer line down there for that.
I don't want to speak without permission.
Well, I was on council at that point too,
I can tell you that we researched it to try to find it, and if we did, we were gonna pay it. We couldn't find any supporting documentation to pay the sewer board $1.3 million. Couldn't find. I think we asked, can we even go through and look at stuff? Andy, do you remember who we had?
It was me. There's nothing. There's nothing.
You couldn't find it.
There's nothing. Not that I have no contract, no
Could not
nothing.
find anything. We looked for it.
The only agreement is between DCRSD and the city of Harrison.
Yeah.
And their interlocal agreement says fees collected by the city for the investment recovery fees will be forwarded to the district on a monthly basis, minus the sum of $50 per month to be retained by the city for fees and costs. So to me, the DCRSD forgot who they were supposed to be asking money from. Because the interlocal was with Harrison. This has been brought up a number of times. There was nothing with the county.
But the council approved money.
yeah, I was on council at the time, Dennis was on council at that time, Dana was on council back in those days as well. The problem with the West Harrison TIF area was it's not shovel ready. And the problem that they needed was money, but no one had. Except that Dearborn County government had allocated, I think, a total of $4 million out of riverboat monies to go toward sewer projects in the future. And because that property was ripe for development, because of location with the rail and the interstate and everything else, it was agreed that we would release of that 4 million, we would release monies to have sewer brought to that location. Now, as far as who owes it back or not, that's between the sewer district and anybody else.
Didn't we originally, weren't we gonna bring it down from St. Leon?
We looked at
Didn't we originally, I think we were gonna bring it down from
Yeah.
St. Leon.
I don't think St. Leon had capacity.
And
And
then
then after,
fixed it. I remember that.
exactly. So it's, I mean, that's not on our agenda tonight, but that's the history of that. So as we're dealing with our agenda tonight, the redevelopment commission has voted to make a donation to the park board in the amount of $100,000 out of their fund 4931. We need a motion to approve that. Is there a motion tonight to do that? Thank you, Doug. Is there a second?
I'll second this.
The motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I got a question. Is the purpose of the redevelopment to donate money to the park board? Is that one of their purposes?
Well, I can tell you that the Bright Meadows Park is now in the Bright TIF, so that is within their territory.
This is out of their general.
That's
fund,
out of
not
their
TIF fund.
discretionary funds. They got two different funds and the one can only be used from funds that came from that area. The other one can be used for basically whatever they deem necessary.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion passes.
Glenn's an A.
Yep.
Yes. Next on our agenda is Vince Carstetter.
Capital.
Mayor, how are you?
Good. So I'm with Mayor Schwing and Mayor Milan, and we are here tonight. we really just want to bring we want to bring something to your attention is what we're trying to do. So as you know, Senate Bill 1 has really put the hurt on a lot of people, especially the smaller cities. It's very widely known. My budget this year will go up. My budget for 26 compared to 25 is going to go up $14,000. I am going to I would have gone up 176,000, but instead we're going up $14,000. So we're looking for every dollar we can save. It's just well known. So what I want to bring to your attention is the 911 call center. So dispatch takes on 29,447 calls. And your budget's roughly $1.8 million. And the state sends you roughly 800,000 and change for the collected over the cell phone fees, which brings a shortfall to the county of $980,000. Of that $980,000, Aurora, Lawrenceburg, and Greendale pay $559,874 to the county for the 911 center for 2025. So what I'd like to point out is the population discrepancy. So, and these are 2020 census numbers that I got online. I expect them to be true. The Dearborn County population is 50,679, of which Aurora, Greendale, and Lawrenceburg are 13,210 residents. We make up 26.1% of the population. However, within our city limits, we generate 16,304 911 calls. So, which is 55% of the 911 calls, or roughly 1.23 calls per resident. Again, 1.23 calls per resident. So you all know that's not my residents and Pat's residents and Kelly's residents calling 911. That is traffic from Highway 50. That is tourism. That is industry, and even the casino, which is.
And probably a few residents of your cities.
There are. I'm not disputing that. So that's my next point. So with that, the Dearborn County, the rest of Dearborn County is 37,469 residents. They account for 13,000 phone calls, or roughly one phone call per 3 residents, where the cities is 1.23 calls per resident. So you're seeing the disparity. The 3 cities residents aren't any sicker. We're not having more fires. We're not having more police calls. If you look at it on an average, we should be treated like the rest of the county, for instance. So what I'd like to point out, a couple of things. Also, Aurora, Greendale, and Lawrenceburg, we contribute annually $3.4 million in property taxes. And you all know that 19 cents on every dollar stays with the county. That's why they're known as well. So, okay, when we do that, we make up 26% of the county population, but we contribute 30% of the county's revenue in property taxes. So that's a discrepancy of about $446,000 based on the county proportionally. So what I'm getting around here to is, if you applied the 1 call per 3 residents like you did for the rest of the county, we would average, the 3 cities would average 5,435 calls. So what I feel, and what the mayors feel, is my residents, Pat's residents, Kelly's residents are getting double charged. Because you all take 19 cents of every dollar per our property taxes, which I think you make the shortfall up with does it come out of the general fund, Ms. Morris? Is that where?
I'm not sure where you're going.
Well, I'm asking on the shortfall. So
What sharp?
The 911 fees.
of the 911 fees. So
Most of it comes out of county general.
county general, right? Which our residents can all contribute to. Agreed? That's the general fund. Then we get billed again. So our residents, Dan, you're one of them, you get to pay twice. And that's,
We do that on a lot of things.
well, you're right, but we also don't use your services.
I know.
We take care of our own police force, EMS, our own roads. So we're paying double and not using your services. In fact, when of these 911 calls, we respond to it. We're not asking the county to respond to it, and we all know they're not all our residents. We know that, but we take care of it, and we appreciate all your help, and we do, but right now we are getting smoked on these fees, and it's getting to be a problem. So, and again, I'm just trying to point some things out tonight. I'd like you to consider several things. I'd like it to make it equitable among all county residents, because we feel this is a county problem. I think it should either come out of the general fund, would be one idea. The second idea, you could raise the safety lit 0.6% from 1.2 to 1.26. That would cover the cost. That 0.06 is negligible. It's almost invisible. And everybody who would understand, it's for 911. We all rely on 911. We get
What
how
were your
important it
numbers
is.
on the public safety lit?
What's that?
What were your numbers on the public safety?
Sorry, Liz, if you look at the bottom on number 2, if you add 0.06 to the 0.4, it would cover the shortfall. So
Okay, so in order to generate how much money?
that would cover up to the $980,000.
Okay, so when, under current law, and this changes for
Oh,
2020.
I know, it changes
Under
in
current
28.
law, for us to generate, for county general, for us to generate $980,000 to filter down to the county, we would have to raise that rate quite a bit more, because it is based on AV and it's divided between the county and municipalities. So 100% of that does not come, the $980,000 does not come to the county. You'd have to raise that rate. I'm making up a number here because I don't know the exact math.
Right.
But say $1.5 million for it to filter down to us. So Greendale would get $200,000, Lawrenceburg would get $250,000, or $300,000, whatever the numbers are. And that's the way it works. And the other part about that is it would be a commitment on your part, because the public safety lit would have to be addressed by the local income tax council, of which county council are members, and so are the mayors.
Yes.
So it would be expected that the mayors who are in favor of this would be here in front of the public and voting yes to adopt a different rate.
And I don't disagree with you at all. But my point is, the way things are rapidly changing at the State House, that might not even be the case in 28. You know,
In 28, you're on your own.
right, we're on our own. We know that. So with that said, I'm going back to the fact, I think this is a county problem. I think it needs to be looked at as a county problem. At the bare minimum, I think the 3 mayors and the commissioners, and God knows we all bring lawyers, should at least sit down and try to renegotiate something to make it more equitable. Because right now it's so unequitable and it's becoming a hardship. In fact, I'm gonna do this number off the top of my head. I think we are at 158,000 a year. What are you, Pat? 145?
47, something like that.
147, and Kelly's over 200. 255. So, you know, and it goes back to, there's no way our residents are calling 1.23 911 calls a year. It's just not even possible.
Now, there was a time when Greendale had its own dispatch.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
And as I recall, this is anecdotal, because I don't really know for a fact, because I'm not
Right,
privy to all the information, but it's my understanding that Greendale was very eager when their last employees that were in the evening part of the shift were retiring, and Greendale was able to partner with the county And so I think a contribution from the cities is certainly in order. Now, if you want to meet with the commissioners and make your case, the commissioners make contracts with these entities.
Yes, ma'am.
Council does not.
And I learned that today. I did not know that.
Okay.
I honestly thought the commissioners ran the meeting like the mayors do. This is all new to me. So with that said, I would like to sit down with the commissioners, and I do know that they generate the budget. You guys fund the budget, but I also needed to make you guys aware of this tonight. Because this disparity is, in my mind, huge. So, and we all know, and I think you know as well as anybody, of course, that when you just like the sewer plant, when all three cities work together on the sewer plant, there's a benefit to economics. You know, the numbers just work better. It's easier. You get more bang for your buck, for lack of better words. So.
Appreciate your comments.
Well, thank you. So I'm gonna reach out to the commissioners and maybe we can sit down and start the conversation. Yes, sir.
My understanding is that there's supposed to be a meeting in Dillsboro Monday night. With
Representative Bascom and Senator
Maxwell
both gonna be there.
may have some information, cause I'm concerned if this is a problem with multiple counties and not just a different county.
Oh, I agree.
Because I was on Dillsboro Council and I can tell you that last year, the vote was 3-2 to pay last year. It barely went.
It's hard on a small community.
Right.
We understand that.
So I'd like to see all the information that they may bring to the table.
Well,
And,
I don't want to speak for them, but I have spoken to Randy quite a bit.
okay,
And he is trying to legislate that instead of $1 a month on your cell phone, taking it to $2, which would cover the shortfall.
That's all the whole problem.
That's all the whole problem.
yeah.
And we have tried to make that argument to the treasurer, who is the person who's in charge of that.
State treasurer.
The state treasurer and 2 legislators and some communications
Well,
people.
We met with the state treasurer and it was pretty.
I was there too.
Yeah,
And
it was apparent he's not gonna do it.
He puts the ball back in our court.
Exactly.
So that's his job. And as a leader, and that being under his charge, he should be taking the ball and running with it.
They voted,
And-
right? What was his reasoning for not doing it?
Because no one
He
wants
has the
to-
ability, he has legislative ability with the permission of the budget council, budget committee, to increase it 10 cents right now. 10 cents would not have any meaningful impact.
But if they've been doing that for the last
They
5
had this
years,
ability for 12 years.
Yeah,
Well,
so- and we would have been at
treasurers.
$2.20.
Well, not to defend him, but he's only been there for a couple of years, the current one, so.
but he was a former council member, so he knows darn good and well
Right.
what a hardship it is and how they got an easy fix. When I get my Verizon bill for $76, if it went to 77, I wouldn't blink. It's stupid. It's beyond stupid for the state not to do what they need to do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We agree. And to Baker's point, I know where Senator Maxwell's office talked to 8 counties in our area, and 6 of them said it is an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know which 6 were and which 2 weren't. And I know Commissioner Thatcher at AIC spoke with David Botdorf about canvassing all 92 counties, which is what Daniel Alley asked us to do.
His job. He asked us to do his job.
Did they say how they handle it? Does the county charge municipalities? I mean, just.
Well, I talked to my mayor's roundtable. There's probably 16 or 18 of us. And it was about a 50-50 split. Sometimes 50% or the county took care of it all or the rest were. What makes Dearborn County unique? And I didn't know this. I grew up here, but we are one of 5 counties to have 3 cities in it. You know, and until you point that out, you don't even realize it. You know, we're kind of unique in that way. And it just, that changes things. So
when I was on council at Dillsboro, I was a former councilman in Ohio County. So I called down there to find out how they 911 funding was, and they seemed to be okay. The only thing that they funded was in that 911 communications building, you have the life squad and the fire department, and they all pay rent, so to speak. It's a maintenance agreement. The county did cover that for them. But what I was led to believe was that money coming in from 911 covered Ohio County. I called Switzerland County and left a voicemail, nobody.
Wonder what their budget, did they say
Well,
what
I'll
the budget
say,
was?
I'll say in Ohio County, going off that, when I started down there with Mayor Bascom, who was the mayor before Steve, / mayor now. We split it 50-50. The shortfall that they had in Ohio County, we split with the county 50-50. And then when they increased their public safety lit and directed a portion of their proceeds from the public safety lit to 911. We immediately called them and said, we're not paying 50% anymore because you don't have the shortfall anymore. The difference is Ohio County doesn't have a jail. They have a substantially smaller sheriff's office, substantially smaller courthouse, court staff and things like that. So they have their public safety costs are a lot lower, and they're not dividing their public safety up between 3 cities, 4 towns.
That's what I was gonna ask, what the 0.4 that he alluded to, adding a 0.06 to it, where does that 0.4 go to now?
So the 0.4, so the 0.4 is,
Here.
there's a distribution to each municipality and the county. And I know previously, I don't know what the rules are with it now that we have the MS lit, but I know previously people could ask for money off the top before the distributions were made. Because we helped fund ambulance units that way before, but now with the MS lit, I don't know, and as we have alluded to, in 2028, it's all getting blown up anyway, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, this stuff's kind of, so I'm seeing on this sheet she gave me that all the municipalities are getting money from this 0.4 that nobody got before, right?
They all get public safety lit, yes.
Lawrenceburg gets $1.5 million, Greendale gets $700 and some odd $1,000. And the point that I would like to make is those of us who were on council at the time that was adopted. I think it passed either 4-3 or 5-2, something like that.
Right.
But no mayor was here. The only municipal person at the meeting who spoke was Joey Lynch. And she spoke in favor of it because she knew Greendale needed the money.
Yes, ma'am.
And we took the bullets. We passed the increase in the public safety lit, or we
Right.
enacted a public safety lit. And I mean, a check goes to Lawrenceburg for 1.8, you get a check for 734,000, and you didn't have to lift a finger. So I feel like,
I know,
I
but
just feel like, I think we've tried to be good partners. This is what I'm trying to get at. I think it's very important. We're all neighbors. We all live in the same
yes,
county.
ma'am.
You're taking care of a city, we're taking care of the county, but I think that we all need to work together for the betterment of our citizens.
I don't disagree. I wholly agree with that. I just want to remind county that our city residents pay county taxes. The county doesn't pay taxes to Greendale. So look, meaning all these people out in the county, the roughly 37,469, they don't pay it to Greendale, to Lawrenceburg, Aurora.
Nor should they.
Nor should they, but we pay it to them. That's the difference.
Only in this one instance.
No, ma'am, we pay 19 cents of every dollar goes to the county, and it funds this beautiful jail and the courthouse. We're not disagreeing with that. That's not the point. The point is we're getting hit twice. That's the point. So we think it should be equitable. If we're gonna pay, and I don't think it's that we wouldn't, we'd like to see it equitable. So we'd like to see our 13,000 residents pay, I can't do this in my head real quick, it'd be 26% of the 911 fees instead of 58%.
Okay, no, I appreciate what you're saying. I think that, like we talked about earlier, the conversation would be with the commissioners.
And we're gonna take it up. So again, thank you for your time. It was just a point I needed to bring to everybody's attention. So,
Okay,
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for Andy. At that meeting Monday night, since that's an informational meeting, could all council be there if they chose? There won't be any voting?
I mean, you're not gonna be there for any county business, you're gonna be there to observe.
We can all go to a basketball game, can't we?
No, don't sit next to each other.
It's only 4.
And I would say I won't be able to be there, I let your attorneys know, I'll be in Bristol that night, so I won't be able to be there, but. I've also talked with Senator Maxwell and Representative Bascom about this a number of times, so.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
When I did, I go to the exam conferences and everything, I talked to a lot of different counties, a lot of different municipalities, everything. And one way that they did solve their 911 problem was to raise the lid. And they said they took care of it.
But that's not gonna do us any good, because it's all gonna go away in 28 anyway. So that would be not prudent at this point to do that anyway.
Then you're gonna get to about 1.2%, about 1.2%,
Right.
0.4%.
Yeah,
We're outlining.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the auditor with a salary ordinance. This will require one signature, so please stick around.
Gonna vote on the salary order.
Yes. So there's some changes in the salary ordinance that we need to approve. Is there a motion to approve the salary ordinance?
Won't everybody speak at once?
We need a motion to approve.
Make the motion.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Need a second to approve the salary ordinance?
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. And this will require everyone's signature, so please don't leave. Minutes were emailed to everyone. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
So
other
Tim and Doug?
discussion? That was Tim and Doug, yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I got a question, this. On our county departments. Is there a limit of how much they can spend before it has to be put out for bids? Like, is it 5,000, 10,000, or say if a department head has somebody that they want to do the job, can they just hand them the
I
job?
thought it was 25,000.
That's what I thought, like on major, or like.
Yeah.
25?
projects, yeah.
Is that on anything, or?
I don't know the answer to that for sure.
Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. So what you have are you have purchasing agents. Um,
And we have the salary ordinance, right?
You just have to sign, not us.
That was the minutes. We need to sign the salary ordinance. Okay, is there a motion to?
so by statute. For purchasing services, so if you're using an engineer, a plumber, or things like that, purchasing services, you get to make your own rules. There's no monetary criteria by statute. So purchasing services, the rules that have been set by the county are that the purchasing agents and your purchasing agents. The purchasing agency is the council. Purchasing agents are each elected county official, each judge, the county highway supervisor, and the county highway engineer, and other county employees as designated in time. But they are limited on services for contracts not to exceed 1 year, and for $25,000 is their limit.
Is that a cumulative limit, or is that just?
It's per service, yeah.
Okay.
And then, and then your supplies, purchase of supplies is 25 also.
Okay, 25,000.
And then if you're doing a public works project, that's a whole other
Right.
area.
Legislation changed that this year as well.
So we do have rules, yes.
And if they're broke, the state board of accounts finds it.
If they are broke, then Connie gets yelled at.
Yeah.
You hate this one.
Yeah. This year's are mine.
Do we make a motion to adjourn? I know we need to sign, but.
Yeah.
Glenn, does that satisfy your question?
Yeah.
You're good? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You're gonna second? Okay, motion by Tennis, seconded by Dennis. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
No motions.
We're adjourned, but please stay and get all the signatures so that Leah can take care of what she needs to do, gateway or whatever.
Nope.
Thank you, everyone.
You didn't know you were gonna have such an exciting night, did you, Al?
I'm just learning more and more about how this all is moving around.
We don't even charge admission.
We should. He's got a lot of money.
You ate that one.
$14.38.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Um,